Hello, Ian Craigan from Broadheath Church here to share a reflection on a reading which is the Old Testament text set for Remembrance Sunday. And you'll be watching the video version of this reflection on or after Remembrance Day. No church services or parades on Sunday, no public gathering at the cenotaph on the 11th of the 11th. Traditions and rituals of long standing overturned and cancelled. I hope nobody is offended by what God, through his prophet Amos, has to say about our traditions and rituals of long standing. Here are verses 18 to 24 of chapter 5 of Amos. Woe to you who long for the day of the Lord. Why do you long for the day of the Lord? That day will be darkness, not light. It will be as though a man fled from a lion only to meet a bear, as though he entered his house and rested his hand on the wall only to have a snake bite him. Will not the day of the Lord be darkness, not light, pitch dark, without a ray of brightness? I despise your religious festivals. Your assemblies are a stench to me. Even though you bring me burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, I will have no regard for them. Away with the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps, but let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. This is my paternal grandfather, Robert Craigan, from Maharescuse in County Down, Northern Ireland. In August 1915, at the age of 24, he enlisted as a private in the Royal Irish Horse. He fought at the Somme. He gained a commission, but coming from a humble farming background, hadn't the means to maintain polo ponies, as officers of cavalry regiments were naturally expected to do so, became a second lieutenant in the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. He was posted to the 75th Brigade of the 25th Division of the 5th Army, and in the final months of 1918, alongside the Worcesters, they fought the battles that pushed German forces back: Cambrai, Sambre, Oise, the battle in which the great war poet Wilfred Owen died. I have an actual field map that Grandpa kept, showing enemy gun positions and battle lines, barely a mile from where Owen fell. Imagine young Ian, on regular visits to Belfast in the 60s and 70s, eager to hear tales of derring do. By then Father Robert was a much older man, but cloaked in gentleness, fond of slipping into our pockets sweets, or jujubes as he called them, when sterner Granny wasn't looking. I'd plead for a story from the Great War, and his bony hand would grip mine, his rheumy eye fix mine. Peace, peace, was all he ever replied. His son, my father, Leslie Craigan, was a more bumptious and opinionated character. I think I've got more of his genes than is good for me. His pleasure was to sit at the head of the table and lecture. However, I find increasingly that the table is turned, and it's my adult children who now school me. Naturally, I find this hard. The indignant voice of patriarchy rings loud in my head when I'm being told how things from child rearing to home politics to international affairs to personal relationships should all be handled and have been mishandled in the past. But Scripture, such as we read in Amos, is a stark reminder that the older generation didn't get it right, and that suddenly, and without consciously signing up for it, I'm now in the older generation. So far this has all been very personal stuff, but I'm going to dare, even on this Remembrance Day, to widen the scope. What if we look at the structures of our society, from the increasing inequalities of growing numbers of billionaires and growing numbers of homeless ex-servicemen, the proliferation of food banks, the rise in refugees from war, the continuing discrimination against the stranger, be they Jew, Muslim, black or transgender, and the rituals, whether it's ennobling and putting into legislature time-served party funders of every stamp, or marching with drum and pipe through the streets in celebration of ancient enmity as they do in Belfast to this day, or taking the image of the poppy and making a fetish of it to the point that they're printed into football shirts and no one dares to appear on TV, even in a quiz or family entertainment, unadorned. Like Peter at the Transfiguration, every generation is guilty of forgetting the journey and memorialising the past. Master, it's good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses and one for Elijah. Peter wants to stay here, not move on. And our anxieties about lockdown and change in general are similarly rooted. It's getting darker. Days are getting shorter. We don't like dark days and darker nights. Will not the day of the Lord be darkness, not light, pitch dark without a ray of brightness? We do like parties for harvest and Halloween and bonfire night, last night of the proms and parades for past glories. I despise your religious festivals. Your assemblies are a stench to me. Even though you bring me burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. And we like Christmas shopping and carol singing, too much turkey. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, I will have no regard for them. Away with the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps. What a miserable Old Testament prophet I am. Did I say I don't tend to be as opinionated and bumptious as my Presbyterian ancestors? Caught in the act. So, let's be joyful that we have a legacy of freedom, of privilege, of choice and opportunity handed down by those who gave their lives in wartime and in peacetime to bring justice and spread righteousness. In the poetry of Amos, I hear God saying, I don't care that they died or how they died, I care why they died. To end aggression, to free enslaved peoples, to combat hatred and genocide. Let's pledge to speak words, maybe even single words, of encouragement to each other and to the next generation whenever we can. All Father Robert said to me was peace, and it was enough to make me wonder. And let's listen to the next generation as they question our actions and our traditions and our rituals, as they cry in their turn, but let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream.